live. Hello.
I can't hear anything.
Well, I can hear you. Later.
We're live. Mary Lou can't hear anything.
Mary Lou can't hear nothing. Oh, this is how every stream with Mary Lou starts. It's great. Mary Lou. Anyway, how are you, Clint? What's going on?
I feel good. I've been back from South by Southwest for a few hours now, and I'm feeling nice. You can hear us now, Mary Lou?
Now I can. Yes. Hello.
Hi, Mary Lou. We're live.
Oh,
We're live.
It's all happening already.
Hi.
I don't think there's any audience to watch us.
Hello.
It's okay.
Oh, okay. I wanted to see the.
No.
chat.
There's no one here. This is a fresh new YouTube channel that I started for us because
Lizard Man.
Oh wait, do we have a Lizard Man already? Oh shit,
Yeah,
Lizard Man! No, Lizard Man, you can't come in just to see me flail around in my webcam.
Damn, one of us has an actual streaming rig.
I know, it's fucked up. Wait, no, you can see my messy bed behind me. Shit, portrait mode.
Megan.
Okay.
Unlike StreamYard, this one doesn't have touch up my appearance, and so I'm looking real tired this morning.
Well, you should be using your iPhone as a camera.
Are you serious?
Well, actually, I don't think it does have touch up my appearance. I just look like this every morning.
How do you use your iPhone as your camera?
Oh, if you're using a Mac, it just is a feature. I don't even have it plugged in. It's just sitting up there on a magnet.
That's crazy.
Right? But I want to make it so that it looks more like I'm looking at y'all when I'm talking to you.
Clint, do you see a slight delay with Sarah's audio and video, or is it just me? Or is there one?
Sarah, give me some lip flap. Let me see if I'm feeling it.
No, you got to make
the delay is massive.
No, you gotta make sound.
You can't do a silent flap. That's not helpful.
1, 2, 3.
No delay.
4.
You're great.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Hi,
Maybe
Megan. Hi, Lizard Man.
Yeah.
I guess we should share this on socials and stuff.
Maybe let's give it a second before we share it on socials and
All
stuff.
right. Let's give it a second. Let's figure out what we're doing, and then we'll share it on socials and stuff. Welcome to the brand new Chill Touch YouTube channel.
You're asking yourself why.
Are you asking, am I, or are you talking to the audience?
I'm speaking for the audience. They're saying themselves, why you do this? Why you YouTube?
There are so many podcasts and YouTube channels and Twitch channels. And why not one more?
That's what we thought.
Short.
There are so many, and some of them are even ours. Like some of them
are literally also ours.
Literally ours. But we thought, why not one more?
At South by Southwest, there were so many influencers walking around with their phones. I wanted to start a new channel that was me slapping people's phones out of their hands.
Well, that's why. Okay, here's the thing.
Yeah, can we slowly evolve this into a prank channel?
Prank channels. I love prank channels.
I call them social experiments, but yes.
Yeah. Oh, you're too right. It's my absolute nightmare. Anytime I see a group of people between the ages of like 13 and 20, that if I move through them, I'm gonna get pranked.
You're gonna get pranked.
You will, and that's the reality.
Yeah, that's the world we live in now.
Yeah. Well, wait, are prank channels a thing again? Because that was the thing when I was in high school. That was like OG YouTube.
No, absolutely still prank channels. It's not as much a thing, but it's gone more like evil, perhaps. Where it's more about like less about like some harmless funny prank and more about like can I freak you out at a fundamental cellular level and then be like it's just a prank, or can I just like insult you or like put you in danger and then be like it's just a prank.
Interesting. Or like I thought prank channels had evolved. I thought they'd evolved into this sort of like Mr. Beast style pseudo philanthropy channel where it's like rather than a prank, I walk up to a homeless person and I'm like, you can either have your long lost daughter's phone number or $10,000. But it's like, it's charity.
All right, guys, round the horn. What do you do?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks, Clay.
10K, thanks.
I take
All right,
out my
Lou,
gun.
Lou,
and
remember that?
instantly kill
Megan,
him.
you're watching. Megan, hear that? Sorry, what'd you say, Mary Lou?
I said I take out my gun and I instantly kill him, and then
You
myself.
kill Mr. Beast in that moment.
I kill Mr. Beast. Oh my god, it's Mr. Beast? Even easier.
Yeah.
I kill him instantly, and then myself.
Okay, but Mary Lou, did you consider that we're trying to make it on YouTube?
How? Okay, right. That's a crime. Was what I did just a crime?
Well,
It may be
I'm
a
more
crime.
worried. I feel like Mr. Beast is sort of like wired into the algorithm at this point.
Right, and
Like
my
like a
AirPods are
techno
going
oracle
to
from-
spontaneously combust inside my head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna initiate the Beast protocol and detonate,
Yeah.
detonate
Yeah,
your butt.
and I just
Has anyone on this? Have any of you ever watched an entire Mr. Beast video?
No, and
obviously not.
and that won't happen until I'm put in the fucking re-education camp.
Yeah,
and
the
they,
Beast.
They fucking Clockwork Orange my eyes open and then show me him like,
Oh no,
guys, I'm playing Squid Game for real. I don't
Beast
know.
camp for content consumption.
I realize that he is like maybe the king of like YouTube analytics and just like tweaking every variable in order to like maximize its algorithmic reach. But like his like finely tuned persona and anytime I am confronted with the image of his bizarre rictus peering at me from the screen, it sends a chill to the very basement of my soul.
It truly is like Golemish. Like he has created this like blank slate that appeals to the numerically, like qualitatively most amount of people, but he's done it to himself. Like he is his own golem, his own homunculus that he like pilots around for mass consumption. It is so deeply spooky. I saw, like, I think my first introduction to Mr. Beast was that my cats just keep taking turns coming up here and bothering me. Was that he had posted two different same video, but with two different thumbnails. And one he was like this, and one he was like this. And the ones with the open mouth got way more views. And he was like, "Isn't that cool?" And I was like, "No."
It kind of like
weird and scary.
But is that Mr. Beast, or is that like, is Mr. Beast just giving us the most authentic presentation of what all of us in our industry are actually doing? Like at some level, like
Yes.
Yeah,
we are
there's
supplicating
to
at the
it.
altar of the
100%.
algorithm.
100%.
we recoil because we recognize ourselves reflected back to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And someone, and I love that your depiction of him as someone piloting his own homunculus is precisely
fantastic.
as your authentic depiction of yourself, in as much as anyone's depiction of themselves can be authentic, recedes behind the mask that you are cultivating for the attention of algorithmic robots.
Mhm.
Like you are more and more just like someone pushing buttons inside your own skull. Like, how do I maximize and achieve peak efficiency within these parameters?
And is it his fault? No, right? He is a creature of this.
No,
like,
it is his
but
fault. Sorry.
what I do think is okay. Yes, it is his fault. But what I do think is like absolutely his fault is that he's like, this is good, and I like it.
That's what's his fault. Like,
Yeah.
like allowing himself to embrace the anti-human in this way is his fault. Like, you need to do what good artists do, which is rail against it performatively and then still try to figure it out on your own.
Benefit. How to benefit.
Right,
from
yeah. And that's why we're here, folks.
Hi, Twitch. Hi, YouTube.
We're not on Twitch yet because my phone has no service.
Oh,
This is so coming back from South by Southwest, which is an arts festival, and I saw some people doing some incredibly out there, specific, interesting art. And then you walk into the conference center, and it is all AI companies saying, "No more of those people, please."
None.
I
Yeah,
literally walked up
the Honda Plaza for artificial intelligence immersion, you know. Blah.
Wait,
I
was
straight up
there
walked up to a
AI?
booth. Everything's AI, and it's AI companies selling different AI things. But I went up to one that was called Hollywood Studio, and I'm there with my DP on one side of me and my location manager on the other, talking to a guy who's saying, "Plug in the script, and the AI will kick out all of your actors' voices, image locations, etc." And I was like, "Great, no more of these guys." And he didn't get the joke, but that's
probably like, "Yes, exactly."
Exactly.
Okay.
Finally, the guys who were cool in high school will no longer have power.
I'm sure other people have shared this thought, but here's my AI art take. I think the reason especially like venture capital CEO class has to be so excited about AI art is because if they recognize that an AI making the art doesn't actually count, then they would have to recognize that like being a CEO or a venture capitalist and taking credit for all of the human labor they've been exploiting for their entire lives also doesn't make them productive innovators.
This is an amazing take. That
like
in a
this
way
take.
they are also scraping culture.
Yes. Because a Netflix executive or whatever, or Jeff Bezos with Amazon, like whether it's a human operating the camera or not doesn't make a difference. Like what matters is they get to take credit for output that they actually did nothing for. And they can't, like, it would be hypocritical for them to admit that there's something missing in AI.
Sir, you're describing my job.
I am.
I take credit for everything, and I do nothing.
Oh,
that is. I cannot chat. Listen, I need you to know how opposite that is of the truth. Clint does everything and takes no credit. Sometimes won't even let us give him money that he deserves.
Yeah,
and...
my wife's listening to this. Don't listen to. I take all the money, honey. Don't worry about it.
No, Clint is the best and so unbelievably talented. And your job is the human job, like finding and connecting people and like making decisions that cannot be like qualitative, that are quantitative and like judging choices. Like
you're you're like where the qualitative and the quantitative meet, where you have all these logistical skills combined
and
with
numbers,
this highly cultivated sense of taste and curatorial instinct. And
this went exactly how I wanted it to. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between facilitation and exploitation.
Sure. Yeah. Speaking of cursed automatons and venture capitalists making plagiarism machines to churn out art to replace us. What is something that actually, a piece of art that actually did speak to your soul in the past week?
Oh man, I've had so many.
I also know exactly my answer, but Clint, please go.
Well, I haven't. I'm coming from an unfair amount of input because I'm coming back from a film festival.
Are we ready? Are we ready to start sharing this places?
Oh yeah.
Okay, great. Because Mary Lee told me to hold off.
Oh, I did, but that was just until we like figured out our setup.
Oh yeah, let's. So what are we supposed to be doing now? Am I like putting this on my Instagram stories?
I'm gonna post a link for you in the text chat, and post it in the Instagram stories. That would be great.
All right.
I'm so good at Instagram. Let's do this.
Oh my god! Wow. One of my friends has a film at South by Southwest right now. And
what's it called?
She's like doing the red carpet. It's called I Really Love My Husband.
Oh yeah. I didn't see it, but I saw the posters and stuff.
And she's like just posted like red carpet pictures and she looks stunning.
Hell yeah.
I have to comment on this first.
Yes. Do so.
Yeah, sorry everyone. We're taking a little sharing break, which means I have to awkwardly use my phone as a phone and not as a webcam.
All good. I should have that little awesome thumbnail that you made, but I'll just do it on one of our cool pictures, courtesy of the wonderful Jill Petracek.
Jill.
Petracek.
Petracek. I knew I was saying that right. Thanks, Clint.
Nailed it.
Ross.
Yes.
Mary Lou. I'm voicing out loud the people I'm tagging because my brain is broken.
No, that's good.
Are we looking at your thumb? What's happening on your?
No, you're looking at nothing. It's paused. Okay. I guess it's probably my index finger if I had to guess. If you need know.
I'm not on my phone.
Thanks, Lizard Man.
Oh, it's Lizard Man.
Yeah, we got Lizard Man in the chat.
You know, Lizard Man is such a creative, cool dude. I've met him in person, and
great artist,
an amazing artist, and writer.
I know. I followed Lizard Man because I love his art.
One thing that has always astounded me about this, like, TTRPG sort of actual play community, if I can call it that, like, people just it is full of so many like amazingly creative people. And
it's true.
I was in meeting Lizard Man as an example of this, and I'm sorry to continue to call you by your handle, but I can't break the habit.
It's your name.
It's your name, man.
He probably wants his privacy and anonymity.
Yes, amen. Long live the new flesh. You are Lizard Man. Was so cool. And I went to Germany a few months ago, and where I met another a woman who had who was a viewer of one of the Glass Cannon shows, who was from Dresden, and she had done all this amazing art of the characters and stuff, like a truly, like, really truly That's impressive awesome stuff. Like I'm always just flabbergasted by it.
Yes, and if I look,
hey, Thursday.
Hi Thursday. Hi Will. Oh, we got people from the Stream of Blood Discord.
Excellent. What's
I posted it in the old Maidens of the Spear Discord. We'll see if anyone comes in from there.
You know, you missed our deep and awesome chat about Mr. Beast and the nature of AI culture.
Yeah, let's get back to it. What were you? Okay, so you're asking us about art that has spoken to us, Ross?
Yeah, that's right. We had been talking so much about or sort of commiserating about the state of AI, and Clint going to South by Southwest and seeing all these sort of tech entrepreneurs who are like, "Hey, can we replace all your jobs with these plagiarism machines we made?" So it's like, hey, what is something with some actual soul, like a piece of art that actually spoke to you in the past week?
Ross, have you seen Land Saga?
No. Is that an anime?
It's an anime.
No, I haven't seen it.
So good. Okay, Land Saga starts out. You'd think it's your classic isekai opening, where with a high school girl, she is desperate to become a pop idol. It's the day that she gets to audition for her favorite pop group. They're having open auditions. She's been practicing for so long. She rushes out of her house because she's late, and she's hit by a bus, and she dies. And we think if it's a normal anime, she wakes up in a fantasy world and she whatever. In this anime, she wakes up in our world because she's been resurrected as a zombie, and she's in a house full of zombies with this creepo guy who's resurrected. He's resurrected 7 elite, like, talented women from the last century and a half of Japanese history in this region of Saga, Japan. And he's specially selected them all to be resurrected as zombies so that he can put together the ultimate zombie idol group. And
why are they better as zombies than?
Because they're dead. They're just already dead. They're not better as zombies. They're not better as zombies.
Okay,
but he wanted people in the group who were already dead.
They're just dead girls,
but dead historical figures. Like,
so there's like her. She just died. Modern high school girl obsessed with idol groups. Then there's like I, who is like the early 2000s, like pop would have been the next like ultimate pop idol, but got struck by lightning in the middle of a concert.
Probably made her even more famous.
Yeah. And it goes
Like
like you
Selena,
have like
we knew how big she'd be, but it didn't.
right.
happen.
Yes.
There's like one girl who was the leader of like a 80s Japan motorcycle gang.
Oh,
There's a girl who's like
Hot.
Meiji era legendary geisha. Like it's just like all these people from like different eras of Japan who bring a unique skill set to bear to piece together the ultimate idol group.
So in a way, he is a producer, not unlike our friend Clint Trucks.
Exactly. He is exactly a producer, not unlike our friend Clint Trucks.
Okay, cast yourself. If we were a zombie pop group, what would like your which idol would you be?
Okay.
Wait, of this group or like what does that mean, Mary Lou?
Like of ourselves. Like what would your thing be?
We're like the Chill Touch idol group. Like what's our little thing?
If we were a Chill Touch idol group, pop star.
I feel like in a normal group of people, I'd want to be like, and I'm the smart one, but I feel like that's true of all four of us. So
yeah, so we can't. None of us can be the smart.
None of us can be the smart one.
No, I'll be the
Be the himbo.
Yeah, I'll be the himbo. In this group, I want to be the brainless himbo.
Yeah.
Okay, you're sports. You're like Sporty Spice.
Okay, you're Sporty Spice.
Yeah.
Sporty Zombie.
Cool.
Okay.
Oh, I want to be.
I feel like in real life I'm just the trans one.
Like, okay, right? You can't be unless you want to be the trans one. You can't be the trans one.
Okay, fine. I'll think about a different one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be like, if you're sports, if we're doing like what's our little hobby, I'll be like the craftsman. Like I'd have my little utility belt with tools and stuff.
Hot.
Are this like village people?
Yeah, no, I got my hammer.
Village people was the original idol group.
Which one of you is wearing the headdress? You have to take a bullet for the team.
Yeah, you got. Look, we're running out of options here. You got it.
My references are all so old. I want to say I'm the Reuben Kincaid, which means nothing to anybody on this stream. I'm guessing.
No.
The Partridge Family, a show from the
which
early
one?
70s.
Well, I watched Partridge Family, but I just don't know their names.
Reuben Kincaid was the manager.
Yeah, he's the guy who just kind of rides along and.
Oh yeah, no. Of course, you're the manager. Every pop idol group has a manager.
Okay, then I'll be like the ultra femme. The I love like bunnies and kitties.
Sure.
Oh wait, do you want to be like the hot it girl, or do you want to be like the cutesy like bubbly girl?
I think I'd be the cutesy bubbly girl. I like talking to like pigeons and horses and stuff.
This also is so close to coming up with what our version of Guar would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do y'all know that Nikola Tesla was in love with a pigeon?
Man, he just keeps revealing new facets of his
like genuine romantic love. Like he considered like his one true romantic life partner was this pigeon that he knew.
Interesting. I mean, they don't live that long.
This is actually ringing a bell.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, stuff about Tesla.
Will remembers. Evan remembers. Yeah, Tesla. I don't know if y'all. Tesla's fucking weird, guys.
Yeah,
he was not.
He was an odd duck. He was an odd duck. Like, not to defend the homophobia of the time, but like people were just generally like, that guy's weird. That guy's weird.
Well, see, I don't even know. I don't even know if he was gay. Like pigeon. Like,
can you be gay for a pigeon?
Yeah. You can if it's a boy pigeon.
Yeah, dog. Yeah, dog.
I just watched a video about homing pigeons, and they talked about how it is almost impossible to sex a pigeon, like not to fuck one, to determine their sex.
Hold up.
Dude, it's almost impossible.
Pause, homie.
I love Ross how you're already in your idol.
Yeah. I'm getting into my persona. This is great.
We're only saying you can fuck any pigeon you want. You simply won't know what the sex of that pigeon is.
Yeah. Wait, guys. If I'm fucking a pigeon, how do I know if it's gay?
Yeah, that's the important part.
So then it might be impossible to be gay for a pigeon because you can never truly know. Or is that queer in itself?
Yes.
If pigeons are
I wouldn't. No, Mary
Schrodinger's
Lou, Mary Lou,
gender?
Mary Lou, Mary Lou, Mary Lou. We cannot be up here associating bestiality with queerness in this
Great
political
point.
climate, please.
Great point. Great point. I'm not talking about the bestiality of it. I'm just saying if pigeons are Schrodinger's gender in that like we cannot tell what gender they are, and so they must be both genders at once.
And I'm just on record with the government and
Yeah,
with the
and you
courts
should.
that no attraction to any animals is queer inherently.
Yes.
Whatever Mary Lou goes on to say.
Legally, we're saying that.
Yeah.
And
I'm so beyond cloacas. I want to talk about pigeon milk. Are you guys familiar with pigeon milk?
I didn't.
No.
Can birds milk?
Excuse me?
Or is it like a different substance?
Yeah.
Pigeons.
They got eggs.
Pigeons.
eggs.
Have like these little sacks in their necks where
I'm with you.
where they hold food, and then it creates like a nutritious slurry that they can then regurgitate.
Oh, they ferment. They ferment.
But yes, but they can also hold it for themselves or use it to feed others, and they call it pigeon milk. Everybody, isn't that
I
great?
actually really love that. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
I have a more fun pigeon fact. I love that we all have pigeon facts.
Yeah, let's get.
Yeah, this is great.
My fun pigeon fact is that most pigeons that you see in the wild, like the vast majority, are descended from domesticated homing pigeons.
Pigeons have been domesticated for thousands of years, or domesticated-ish.
We get it. You watched the documentary.
I didn't watch a documentary. I read this somewhere and forgot where I learned it, and
That's
now
the only real learning.
read it as
Forgetting
Bible
that.
truth and spread it as if it's Bible truth.
No, Mary
I'm
Lou.
pretty sure it
Mary Lou,
is. But
before
anyway.
you say anything, if that's how you learned it, you do have to introduce it by saying, "There was a study apparently."
There was a study I
Yeah,
read about.
this is a podcast. This
I
is in
read
a way
a
a
study.
podcast. So you have to
In
always.
my research, I discovered that pigeons, that like all the pigeons you see on the street are descended from like formerly domesticated homing pigeons that like when messenger pigeons got like, obsoleted by technology, they just sort of like let them all go because they were like, I don't really want to feed these pigeons anymore. They're not really useful to me. So like, get out of here, pigeons. And so because of that, you could pick up pretty much any pigeon on the street and take it into your house as like a pet bird, and it would like thrive.
Awesome.
Also, one of the reasons people domesticated pigeons very, very early is that you didn't have to feed them. They would go off and
They
feed
had
themselves.
a goo. They had pigeon milk.
Yeah, they're like pigeons are ideal pets, and especially for like first-time bird owners because they're like super affectionate. They're really like mild-tempered. They love people. They like thrive in being like having a home, right? Like a cage.
Yeah.
And like with just a little bit of exercise and free time. They're like ideal pets, and you can truly literally just like be like, that's mine now, and pick up a pigeon, and they'll be like, okay.
Well, except that they want to go back to wherever their roost is because pigeon's home, right? But one of the interesting things is pigeons also follow each other. So if you have a roost of pigeons and you let your pigeons out, sometimes they'll just bring other pigeons back. Another great reason to domesticate and eat pigeons is that you just let them loose and they bring more back.
They bring more to you.
It's like the tomato guy on Twitter who says, plant one tomato that makes seeds and you get 5 tomatoes, and then it's a money printing machine.
Cool. So I just kind of want to get into the persona of a YouTuber for a second and like kind of get on the wavelength of this. But yeah, I just read this study out of the University of Vienna in Austria, where the pigeon milk crop down in in their neck produces this fine pigeon milk. Which actually, if you spend time cultivating the friendship and milking the pigeon, that pigeon milk cures rheumatoid arthritis, the measles, and is a totally natural protection to.
Okay, but I need to stop you right there, Ross. Actually, because
are you selling this?
No, here's the problem. Here's the problem with pigeon milk as a curative. Yes, like it's 100% true that pigeon milk cures rheumatoid arthritis, it cures autism, it cures cancer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it loses all those healing properties if it gets pasteurized.
The
government
raw pigeon milk,
and that's why they don't want us to have access to raw pigeon milk because of big pharma.
Yeah. But thankfully, Chill Touch is manufacturing our own.
Guys, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to talk to you today about this amazing opportunity. We have unlocked the secrets of the pigeon crop and are giving them to you in supplement form. Our amazing Chill Touch pigeon milk suppository will release the miraculous properties of the pigeon milk into your microbiome.
And guys, I know what you're thinking. I already tried the Chill Touch pigeon suppository, and all it gave me was brutal diarrhea. And guys, it's not diarrhea. If you look at it, you'll notice that the texture and consistency is different from other diarrhea you've had, because this isn't diarrhea. This is toxins leaving your body.
Yes.
It's toxins.
And if you're doubting that this is real, look at any pigeon. Constant diarrhea.
Thank you.
Constant. And Evan, I'm so glad you asked. Do you have a monthly subscription model? We do. We actually are launching a monthly subscription model because our products are in such incredibly strict development. We want to bring you the highest, most premium product. They're actually not available currently, but if you subscribe to our monthly subscription model, you will be the first able to access our pigeon milk product when it is available, which we are hoping is going to be any month now.
Yeah,
we've actually just been joined in the chat by our friend Amy Vorpal, who will be a spot.
Amy Vorpal, yes, she is a sponsor of our pigeon milk.
Yes,
she loves it. Amy, tell them how much you love our pigeon milk.
So right now, guys, it's really important for everyone to get excited and spread the word about this wonderful milk. We're going to be sucking it right out of the pigeon crop and delivering it in a fine capsule that inserted once monthly is going to prevent a whole battery of illnesses. Big Pharma doesn't want you to have this because it's going to eradicate all disease at a low cost. The government, Big Pharma, the Biden crime family are all coming for us. And we really need your support right now.
Really need your support.
Yeah. PETA's going after us. Several animal rights groups.
And Fauci uses it, but we won't admit it.
Yes. Do you want to know the best part about pigeon milk too? Legally, it's not milk. Legally, it's a fermented fluid formed in the neck vesicle of the pigeon.
So it's closer to a cheese.
It's much closer to a cheese.
Yeah.
Well, it's closer to a tofu.
Semantically.
It's a non-dairy cheese.
Yeah, it's controlled by the same protein that creates milk in mammals.
Yeah, which is great because then it is not regulated by the same powers that have to regulate cheese and dairy, which means that we can pass those savings on to you.
Yeah, the best part about this model, folks, is that the FDA never intervenes at any level.
Never.
Oh, guys, I think we need to stop.
Yeah. Okay. So that was talking about the zombie. That was the zombie anime.
Wait, no, I didn't even get to talk about why it was inspired.
Yeah. Why was that inspiring?
Okay. At the end of season 2.
Anyone who just joined is going to be so confused by this lane change.
Yeah. So
Quick
the whole reason we
context.
whole reason we got on the topic of pigeon milk suppositories was talking about pigeons, talking about Nikola Tesla being in love with a pigeon, talking about
anyway, Zombieland Saga season 2.
Talking about an anime, Zombieland season 2.
Oh, we were talking about which idol we would be.
Yeah, which idol in the resurrected idol group put together by Clint would we be? One of whom, I guess, was into.
I talked to pigeons. That's what I said. I said I would talk to animals and talk to pigeons.
Oh yeah, you did say that.
That's it.
That's how we got on pigeons.
I made up the connection. We were talking about the partridge family, and I thought I just jumped birds.
It was me. I said I talked to pigeons.
I
solved the mystery. I'm actually the detective idol. I'm obsessed with mysteries.
I love the detective idol.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I want more pop stars to also be detectives.
This is
that would be my dream job.
I have the show for you, Clint. It's called Oshinoko.
God, if you dream it, there's a 6-season anime.
And Sarah's seen it.
Yeah,
and I've seen it. Yes, and she has thoughts.
Oshinoko is amazing. Okay, Zombieland Saga season 2.
How is it inspiring?
I watched all of season 2 last night. I saw season 1 many years ago, and I watched all of season 2 last night. Season 2 ends with the region of Saga getting destroyed by a massive flood.
Sad.
And what's inspiring is it turns out this show about zombie idols was actually a show about mutual aid the entire time. And the
Wow.
closing moral of the show is just the zombie idol group giving dramatic speeches on stage to all the people of Saga who banded together to come and watch them do their final concert. And they give speeches about how, like, it doesn't matter how hopeless things look or how desperate we get. We just have to keep having enough hope to get out there and, like, fight for each other. And it's not about waiting for people to save us. It's about making the changes we want to see right now. And I see it all in you. As you go out, you get it, you're making soup and you're giving it to people who lost their homes in the floods and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I did not expect to get hit like this, Land Saga.
I love when entertainment has a secret moralistic theme. It's like when ICP revealed that they were super Christian.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember when that happened? It's like it happened and people forgot.
Look, yes, I'm familiar with the whole like kind of
Dark Carnival
of the Dark Carnival, the mini. So yeah, very similar to Zombieland season 2.
Sorry, I'm trying to sign into my Google and it's doing crazy stuff.
Okay, there we go.
Clint,
is this overlay too much?
Oh, with the little kind of
got a little kind of shadow hand.
Yes, I've noticed.
I like it, but it covered up my name, and I'm
it covered us up your name. Let me fix that. Okay.
Her branding.
In the meantime, can I offer you a large man?
Yes.
In this trying time,
I'll take one chubby fellow, please.
Look at this guy.
Wow.
While our shadow hands are adjusted, Ross, what piece of art has inspired you in the past week?
Holy moly! I'm glad you asked, Clint. I'm glad you asked my own question. But truly, I think I brought this up because I've got one simmering within.
Yeah, I want to know.
I was walking around the other day, and my wife was out of town, bachelor weekend, and I was just kind of like taking a walk. I was like, I'm gonna get some sun. It's a beautiful day, and I've been inside all day. I'm gonna actually get some sun. I walked by the Vista, which is a rep screening movie theater here, and up on their sign it said 1900 restored cut, and I was like, wait a minute, I've heard of that. 1900 is a Bertolucci movie that is 5.5 hours long. It is maybe one of the longest movies ever. And I was like, this starts in half an hour. Fuck the sun. I'm gonna watch Novocento.
No, this is in a
such
theater
a Ross
that's
choice. I love it.
That's the most Ross choice.
Restored to film. So this is like 150 pounds of film reels.
Yeah, dude. This thing is a monster. This movie, folks, is bananas. It is being trapped in a room with Bernardo Bertolucci's perversions for 5.5 hours, but is also this sweeping historical epic all about the rise of fascism in Italy. So it starts at the end of the war in 1945 and then flashes back and brings you back up to there. It stars. We've got Sterling Hayden as the head of the peasants on the turn of the century farm. We've got Burt Lancaster, who I had no idea was in this movie, looking for all the world like his character in Luchino Visconti's The Leopard, another one of my favorite movies of this time. Playing the padrone of the property, who plays his son. If you were gonna, in the mid 70s, if you were gonna cast a young and up and coming actor as the sort of effete, feckless, spoiled son of the padrone of a
played by Burt Lancaster.
Played by he's the grandson of Burt Lancaster. Would you choose Robert De Niro?
Whoa.
Yeah, young Robert De Niro. His foil, his best frenemy, who's like the bastard son of peasants, is played by young Gerard Depardieu. Now, I'm only familiar with Gerard Depardieu in his current or his more recent kind of like latter day kind of
discovered him in 90s rom-com French Kiss.
Exactly, like Zoftig, wine quaffing Gerard Depardieu. He is hunky as hell in this movie. And this being a Bertolucci movie, yeah, there's a scene where both of them are getting full frontal nudity jacked off. Absolutely. Is there massive
Thank you.
homoerotic tension between them the entire time? 1000%.
Are they getting full frontal nudity jacked off by other people? By like women?
By one woman who has an epileptic fit in the middle of their sexual assignation, because Bernardo
Okay.
Bertolucci is a fucking maniac.
I guess I'm gonna put this out there now. Chill Touch live stream is 18 plus.
Yeah, sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to come, but that is the whole rhythm of this movie, is like thrill to the most beautiful cinematography you've ever seen of the Italian countryside, as if captured in amber in the turn of the century. Hear the amazing peasant songs ringing through the hills. See and be brought to tears by socialist songs being sung by a group of women as they face down a group of police on horseback. And then also see fucking like
full frontal nudity, 2 men being jacked off by a woman having an epileptic
tons
fit.
of nudity, and guys, Donald Sutherland is in this movie playing
Donald Sutherland?
Yes, maybe the worst monster I've ever seen committed to cinema. There is an act of violence in this movie so crazy that I almost stood up and screamed. And
wow,
it is nuts.
Hi, Tans.
Yeah.
Hi, Christian. We met Christian at one of our improv shows. He's from Germany, and he wanted to get into improv. And
He did. I hope you're in Germany doing musical improv.
Well, that's awesome.
Guys, I have a question for you. And
if it's not about the violent act or the jacking off, what are you doing?
It is about the jacking off.
Okay, great.
And
Did the epileptic fit make it better?
If there's anyone in the chat who's epileptic, please let me know if this is a cancelable take, and I'll recant. But I'm kind of wondering if being jacked off by a woman having an epileptic fit is like finally the equivalent of like a vibrator for men.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
That sure is.
You know what? Take. I think it's a cancelable take, and I'm going to recant it.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm thinking about it now that it's said out loud. You ever have an intrusive thought that you just have to speak into being?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You ever record it and stream it?
Put it online for posterity. What that scene actually is, Sarah, like this movie is just all allegory. And all of these characters are in a way personifications of the particular classes during this time of the rise of fascism. So,
oh my God, Megan is so right. I'm sorry.
And
they do make vibrators for men, but
there are vibrators for men. Yes.
And I'm going to say that's not why my take was bad. Epilepsy is a real serious. I have epileptic friends, and I don't know why that's the thought that was in my head, and I apologize.
Yeah, the epileptic fit kind of brings an end to their little sexual adventure, and it's a very disturbing and visceral scene in a movie full of very disturbing and visceral scenes. And she has the fit because fucking De Niro's character is putting all this like pressure on her to drink. He's pouring like liqueur down her throat, and she's like, I don't normally do this. I don't want to do this. And this gives you a sense of like, there's every scene in this has this queasy push pull of
class and power.
Yeah, the power dynamics are always presenting you with like, do you find this titillating, you bastard? And
I love that.
It's amazing.
I love accusing the audience.
It goes for it full force. This is a communist movie, and it begins, as I said, in 1945 with Donald Sutherland's character being chased across a field by a group of women wielding pitchforks. You have no idea any of the context. He fires a pistol at them. He gets 2 pitchforks stuck in his torso, and then it flashes back, and you're like, "What the hell was that? Why would they be doing that to that man?" By the time 4 hours later, you're like, not enough pitchforks.
Not enough pitchforks for that man. See, that's the problem with communist art is that because it's 5.5 hours long and accuses the audience doesn't make it to the pitchforks into the bad guy. Do you know what I mean? Like the communist art will give you pitchforks into the bad guy, and that rocks. But it'll also maybe lecture me first. And while I do need it, sometimes I'm not strong enough to get to the pitchforks.
The lecture
like
is not an unalloyed just condemnation of that class while giving you a rosy picture of the workers. Like it's fully complicated. You see virtue in both. You see Bertolucci is one of these people where you never get your full bearings in these morality tales. Definitely pure evil comes into focus in this movie for sure. This, maybe I should say that more than this is a communist film, this is an anti-fascist film, and because of that, I felt just exhilarated watching this movie.
And I do want to say that was my criticism of communist art. That was more a joke and can't be construed as real because I also have not seen enough communist art.
Mary Lou, you can't also get canceled in our first stream.
Sorry.
Yeah,
but it is a little didactic. It does have a little of that. So if you will feel that feeling that you get in political art.
Did it work?
To a little
because serious talk, I've been thinking a lot about like how to do anti-fascist art that is like entertaining, especially since we're all comedians. Like satire doesn't work, right? Like at this point. And
I guess I question the efficacy of the anti-fascist art, given that we had fascism. 70 years of everybody celebrating killing
Fascism
Nazis,
right?
In every form of media.
Yeah, and we grew up so in the or Clint and I at least are a little bit older than y'all, and grew up. I don't know about you, but in middle school and high school, I feel like all we read in English class were dystopias. It was like,
oh, for sure,
we were just constantly reading like the backdraft of the mid 20th century of like, this is what happens when you try to have a utopian project. This is the result of totalitarianism, is Brave New World in 1984 and
Animal Farm
and The Giver and whatever else. Yeah. And like, we were all steeped in that as kids. And then, here we are.
I'm going to back into logistics then. Ross,
we can't hear you, Sarah.
You're gone.
Sarah, you're muted.
Okay, quick. Hot takes.
Maybe your mic got
takes.
Oh, quick. Yeah, how do we cancel Sarah?
While Sarah's out of the picture.
Finally, my plan.
Damn it.
You're back.
You're back.
What was your question, Clint?
5 hours intermission.
There was an intermission.
And how much attrition was there in the theater during that intermission?
0.
Love it. Okay.
Did this movie...
And that's a self-selecting audience, because the only person that would even just go to that is somebody who's going to be there for the long haul.
This is a matter of personal taste, but I feel like so much streaming era content is like pace, like frantic, impatient. And to just sit with a piece of cinema that is just so resolute in taking its sweet time. As I think as I've said, if there's one word that sums up Novocento, it is excessive. It is a work of excess, and like I just loved being on that wavelength. And for all that, it moves, it surprises you again and again and again and again, and you're just constantly left hanging, like, what is going to happen next? I was like, as soon as the intermission came, I was like, I can't wait for part 2 to start. Like it was great. I loved it. And I had not seen many of his movies. Last night I watched The Conformist, because that I feel like is maybe his most, the one that's always brought up. And I also love that one. It's also an amazing anti-fascist work of art. But I like Novocento more, I think, just because it's so audacious and insanely ambitious.
So this is a new restoration. I'll look for it on Criterion whenever they get the rights.
Yeah, I think this one came because there were, of course, because it's 5.5 hours long. There's tons of different versions of it. I think many places it was released in 2 parts, so you had to watch it separately. But this one, I think, was released finally in its fully restored version, maybe in like 2007, and so you can get it on DVD. But carve out a weekend and check out Novocento. It is bananas.
Okay, so that was Ross's answer.
Mary Lou?
Clint and I still have to go.
Yes.
For what art inspired us.
What did you see, Mary Lou?
What did I see? I could give 2 answers, I think. One is makes more sense than the other.
Did y'all see the notification?
What?
Did you see a little notification?
What do you mean by that?
Oh no, this is a new streaming platform for me, so I'm trying to get a sense of what's a preview I see on my end as host when I'm fucking with what's something that everyone sees. But you didn't see it, so
I don't
Mary,
think so.
can you?
Oh, okay. I am, like many of us, watching Severance, season 2. I made my boyfriend watch season 1 before we could watch season 2 together. And I am constantly impressed by the comedy and the drama of it. I've said for a long time, that I think comedians make better drama than dramatists.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because I think comedy takes like a fundamental empathy, because to make somebody laugh, you have to think about what they would think is funny. And so I don't know. And who knows if I'm right about that, but that's my opinion. And I think Ben Stiller is just like kind of knocking it out of the park at every at bat. And I like how absurd it is. I love how absurd it is, because they're like babies, right? Like, I won't get into details, but the innies, the severed workers, they're like babies in that they have like no frame of reference for like what is normal and what is absurd.
I think the words egg party is coveted as fuck all the time.
Egg party.
Oh my God. I totally see a lot of, oh my gosh. I just realized how much Dylan reminds me of you. And you're like, your sense of humor. No, your sense of humor of just like how fucking quick and funny you are.
Yeah, Mary Lou. Mary Lou's digging herself into cancellation chambers.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it worked.
What?
Did y'all see that one?
Didn't see a thing.
No. What are you talking about?
Hey, people in the chat, did y'all see that? Oh my God. Mary Lou, because Dylan, it looks half black.
Oh.
Sure.
Zach Cherry might be. I don't know. Didn't look it up.
I actually have no idea. See, now I'm getting myself canceled by canceling.
No, he's
the multiply canceled. Sarah Catherine.
Wow.
It reminds me
stream
more
off the rip. Good God.
Guys.
Of Xander Quill Sharpener and his sort of like his sense of humor of the like, I don't know.
This is a reference for the audience to my racist D&D character.
The best D&D character I've ever
prejudiced.
Prejudice. Yeah, he's a gnome who's racist against halflings. It's hysterical, I'm sad to say. So anyway, yeah, Severance. That's my thing that's inspiring, because I like making that kind of comedy that is like absurd and stupid, but also really like emotional and heartfelt. And you'd know that if you ever saw City Walk the musical, My Pride and Joy, which is the dumbest thing in the whole world and also regularly makes people cry every single time we do it.
I really have to see it. I'm so sorry I've never seen it.
Oh, please. Oh my gosh, that was not a dig at you. City Walk the musical is the best thing I've made, that I've been a part of making. And I love the blend of comedy and absurdity and silliness and emotion and like human relation that it is. And
RE, what we were talking about with like the political art of something like 1900, I feel like the satire that is in something like Severance, because it's more kind of like poetic and less like on the nose didactic, hits you in this more kind of visceral way, because you can't quite articulate how it is the one-to-one of its satirization. It hits on this deeper level in the way it is talking about like the compromises that we all make with work, and how
the work is mysterious and important.
The work is mysterious and important. Like,
work is mysterious and important.
Yeah.
And
like, is? I don't know.
I think one of the most beautiful articulations of the way that we all look at the internet and the way social media has affected us and the way work online has affected us is what they do at Lumen, which is you just look at numbers waiting for one of them to make you
Yes.
feel sad.
Feel something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you label it. You
Yeah.
label it and you put it in a box and it's gone. Right?
Yeah.
Like I've labeled it, I've named that thing, and we're finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And the
I
numbers
love-
never end. So move on.
I love meeting the goat office.
Oh, sure.
That was
Utterly
crazy.
insane.
What is
good.
up with
Like-
them? They got a dozen of the weirdest looking motherfuckers in that whatever town they film in, and I love it.
And this is something that I think of a lot when I watch Severance too. And I'm curious what you like. That Severance is on Apple TV. That it's set in these kind of antiseptic corporate environments that have their own sort of like severe aesthetic beauty. All the
Look
hard
like an Apple store.
lines,
Sure.
and
The
I
white
think
walls,
they're-
white ceilings, white
Uh-huh.
floors.
and the sort of brutalist building that they walk into and everything.
Yes.
And their clean looks,
Hey,
their
welcome,
wardrobes.
Valning. Thank you so
Mhm.
much for joining.
That in a way, the world that it is satirizing and critiquing is the world that Apple hath wrought.
Oh, sure.
It is using the aesthetics of the Apple corporation, kind of feeding it back on itself.
Mm-hmm.
And there is something weird about Apple kind of somewhat taking pride in this. It is
Yes.
weird that Apple is the thing bringing this artistic object into being.
What?
Well, because there's
it-
something cool about it almost sanitizes them, right? Because they're like, look, we can make fun of ourselves.
Yes, yes.
We're not that bad.
I genuinely believe it. Well, it shows what they value and what they don't, right? So, yes, they're okay with having this portion of themselves satirized because it has no business implication for them. But
Mhm.
when Jon Stewart does a piece on China, his show gets removed, right? So
Because it might actually affect their bottom line.
for sure. So
Mhm.
yeah, I do not believe. If anything, it is the impotence of art being thrown at us that they can do this.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like the modern anti-capitalist art we see all the time.
Wonderful.
It's just like it's our modern bread and circuses, right? It's the
Yeah,
This is the sort of sorrowful feeling that I get when I watch Severance. As much as I love it and the vibe of it and the hyper precise surrealism of it, I'm so glad that it exists because it's so weird and unique in a way that most streaming shows are not.
yeah.
But it does come with this weird undercurrent of like it being brought to me by the very thing that it is satirizing and that I'm not that everything has to be this like didactic hammer and sickle ass thing, but like
but I want it to be.
yeah,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
was part of the reason why I loved Novocento so much because it very much was that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
maybe it's not art that will change the world, but it might be art that's like reflecting the world back at us in a way that we can
Yeah.
like better understand it in order to change it.
Absolutely.
And you guys know that concept of like horror movies, the tropes in horror movies, popular tropes of a time reflect the
Yeah.
like collective fears of the moment.
Yeah.
Like a few years ago, it was like all of this like birth and being taken over host stuff that was like probably about abortion, and then before that it was like surveillance and like somebody's in
Mhm.
your house and you can't escape them.
Right.
And
Or like
I
almost
saw-
all 70s horror movies, like in some way being about Vietnam or
Yes. I saw a tweet that was about like the doppelganger being like a very popular trope these days.
Yes.
It showed
Interesting.
Severance, it showed Us, it showed I can't remember the other ones.
Cuckoo.
yeah,
Cuckoo. I don't even know Cuckoo. That wasn't one of the ones that they
It's
showed,
not-
but like
it's not technically a doppelganger, but it's a similar theme, I think.
but a kind of thing. And the point that they were making was the idea of like which is weird because we just talked about this with Mr. Beast, but that we have to create another persona of ourselves, or one is created for us that is like optimized for societal or capitalistic efficiency. That like the real you is not good enough and there needs to be another version of you that's better and more effective.
I feel like you articulated it perfectly. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. That's the anxiety that all of those are playing on, and we all feel it too. And just think about how much content that we absorb on social media has that message overtly, because everything is like, optimize yourself. Here's the 6 tips to make you a better man, a better public speaker,
Sure.
a more
Mhm.
efficient Pilates practitioner, whatever.
Make
Right.
yourself digestible.
Mhm.
Make the fact
To
that
make more money.
that our jokes amongst we, a group of real in life, in person friends, are about how we are canceling ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, that's not just a joke about that. That was also me feeling guilty about a genuinely bad take.
All good.
Except it's because there's a camera on us at the table. There's no bad take that anybody's going to be shamed for, right? We're working it out.
I guess that's true.
You know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Did you mention in this one also the substance and a better man, or this as well?
Yes, that's exactly where the other two. I remember seeing 4 photos on Twitter, and it was, I think, us, Severance, and
y'all can see when I
Substance
highlight a
and
comment.
Better Man.
Right? Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I don't know if any of you all have seen A Better Man, but that one, like, I just saw it in the past couple weeks.
Things.
I loved it. It's dynamite.
Oh, Jill, thank you for bringing this up and getting us back to our true topic here, which is we are a politics and news channel.
A little late note about sanitizing. I worked for a textbook company, and they stripped away every reference to Citizens United because they didn't like educating kids on lobbying. That is insane.
She has a follow-up comment.
And this isn't even new, because Jill doesn't currently do this.
No, this must be years and years ago. Like,
wonderful.
We tried to put it in.
Welcome,
but
Andrea.
they were meticulous in removing it. They didn't like the self-reporting of their own influence on how education is in America.
Totally.
Oh my God. And it's only going to get worse. Like, Citizens United is one of these huge ruptures where, like, you see the slide begins to happen.
Yeah.
I just saw
Sydney. Hi, Sydney.
Oh, hey, Sid.
Sid.
I just saw a film. Guys, I was at South by Southwest, and I just saw a film that is hot trash called The Age of Disclosure, which is a documentary about aliens and the government reports of. Don't bother, and if you watch the congressional hearings, it is everything you already know. However, the thing that I kind of walked away with was the degree to which defense lobbying is a massive influence on sort of what gets released and this sort of stuff, and that all defense lobbying is essentially giving the government their money back from contracts that they've been paid. And how is that legal?
Yeah,
that's so crazy.
That's fucked.
Deeply fucked.
Here's the thing, Clint. How is that legal? The law is a farce that serves those in power.
Yes, it is legal because no one's going to punish those people.
It's illegal.
Yes.
Even if it wasn't legal, people would still do it and probably get no consequences.
Yeah,
and even if it's illegal, it's if no one punishes it, it's legal, right?
And
the law is only the law if it is enforced.
Right. Why quote laws to those of us with swords? Like, this is about fucking force and power, baby. And yet again, I'm just 5 hours was an impactful time. Novocento, man, our arch fascist. Like, you literally see Donald Sutherland stitching the black shirt is how the first act closes. He puts it on like, this will be our uniform. He grabs a live cat, Mary Lou. This is one reason why you might not like this movie. There's a lot of on-screen animal cruelty. He straps it to a wall and he's like, communists are like this pussycat. They can't be reasoned with. And then he headbutts the cat to death.
Oh my God.
The law is a thin patina on the language of force. Like,
I mean, I've told all y'all this, I'm sure, many times, but like, this is literally why I dropped out of law school.
Yeah.
RBG dies my first semester. Amy Coney Barrett is going to be the new Supreme Court justice. Everything you learn, all you do in law school is read Supreme Court cases. Like,
the head of your department headbutts a cat to death.
Head of my department headbutted a cat to death. And every time I would ask my Civ Pro professor, who was so proud about having clerked for RBG and stuff, And I'm like, what happens if they don't follow precedent?
Right.
But they will, though. But what happens if they just a counterfactual? What if they don't? But they will. They respect the rule of law, and that is like literally why I dropped out, because I was like, what?
Like, even at the time that you were there, like all that stuff about like Clarence Thomas was coming out, where it's like, yeah, obviously, no, he is literally taking bribes. We all see it.
All you have to do is read any Supreme Court opinion to be like, oh, like literally what the law is sophistry. Like what you learn, because I studied philosophy in college, where they're teaching you like how to make a good argument in pursuit of like a good faith, genuine attempt at truth, even if you know you'll never get there. What you learn in law is pure sophistry. How do you take what exists out there and construct an argument for whatever conclusion you're being paid to conclude? To the point where in my legal ethics class that I had to take, like, I got in an argument with my professor because they're like, it's unethical not to put forth your best argument you can for your client. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, that has nothing to do with ethics. Anyway, that's why this system is so
professional ethics are not ethics. It's a different. It's a different.
I see. Interesting.
Sorry, that's my law school rant.
But
I'm gonna go on it many more times in my life. That's
super troubling, Jill. Like, just. And yet another reason why I think it's good to read stuff of all eras and try to and expose yourself to a broad variety of stuff, just so that you can so the things slip through these little cracks of curation where like people are trying to withhold this information. It is crazy. Like yeah.
So that was my piece.
Severance.
So what about you, Clint?
I have loved Severance.
Was Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It made me cry. One of the cutscenes. It's really good. Anyway, Clint, your turn.
Rephrase the question again.
Piece of art.
What was a piece of art? Yeah.
Brought you joy.
Wow.
Brought you joy or inspired you, I think.
Oh yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Sure.
What spoke to your soul?
I saw a bunch of good stuff recently, so it's like top of mind. I'm gonna do two real quick. So I saw a short film called One Day This Kid, which is it's the classic what you'd expect to see in a short film program, but somehow also a perfect piece of film, where it's a short about based on a poem by a Polish gay man living in Poland, trying to contend with his gayness in Poland, that was then turned into a short film by an Afghan filmmaker about growing up gay in Afghani culture, told across in vignettes of a young Afghani boy at 3 ages. It's
Moonlight.
It's Moonlight, but
Afghani,
tighter Afghani, but it's just kind of like it's a perfect 14 minutes. You walk away having seen and felt everything.
Cool.
However, if you talk about being inspired, so that made me feel. Talk about being inspired. However, I saw a film that I believe none of you will ever get to see, and I have to talk about.
Whoa, interesting.
Yeah, unpack that.
So it will start with a thing that you might be familiar with, which is, are you familiar with from about 15, 17 years ago, a web series called Nirvana, the Band, the Show? Is anybody familiar with this?
Yes.
That actually sounds familiar.
It's Canadian, right? It's directed by the same guy who did Blackberry.
Correct. Exactly right. This is all important. It is a web series made by a group of Canadian comedians who, the premise is they are a band called Nirvana. They discover there's another band called Nirvana, so they call themselves Nirvana the Band. Somebody says that band's already called Nirvana, so they add another A, so it's Nirvana the Band. Nirvana the Band has a web series called Nirvana the Band, the Show. Right now, that was 17 years ago. They made 2 seasons in 2008, 9. Right. Since then, those creators have gone on to make a number of other things, including the film Blackberry, which was, if anybody's seen it, it's actually terrific. It is
so
about
good.
exactly. It's about the creation of the BlackBerry.
It is
It's
good.
sort of the whole lifespan. It's weird. That movie was in part funded by the Canadian government, and the Canadian government then came to them and said, "All right, you guys can make anything you want." So they said, "We're going to take our old web series and make a movie." So I saw Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. Now, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie is it screened twice at South by Southwest. After the first time, they're like, I don't know if this can air again because almost everything in it is illegal.
Like the things they actually do.
So there's a Borat element of it where they are in a movie, but they are filming verite in the world where nobody else is in the movie, but they are in the movie, right? Where they are doing things like base jumping off the CN Tower.
Oh shit!
To try to go into the Sky Dome to advertise their band to everybody watching the Toronto Blue Jays play. They, of course, missed the opening of the tower and are stuck on top of the Sky Dome. It is the movie itself becomes a time travel rom.
Hi, Clorp Donk. We are live right now on YouTube, not on Twitch yet because of two-factor stupid issues.
Yeah, correct. Not live.
No, we are live.
We are live on YouTube, not on Twitch.
Not on Twitch.
However, fast forward. So the movie.
That's okay, Clorp Dork. I'm happy
rom.
to interrupt Clint at any time.
Yeah, and
I'm not. I want to listen to what Clint's saying.
Yeah, I in no way lose track of what I'm saying.
Yeah, let my man cook.
Okay, sorry.
Anyway, tons of footage,
Illegal
music, and simply things that they do that clearly were not licensed or cleared or permitted. There's a portion of it where they are in the middle of a live, like the cops have shut down a block for a shooting, and they got footage of this. And I don't want to ruin the story of their movie in case anybody can't see it, but there was a shooting at Drake's mansion, right? So they ran there and got footage of themselves in character. So when they write a shooting at someone's mansion and theirs, it is them in front of an actual police like press thing. So you will see the head of the Toronto Police Department talking to the cops, and then the camera will cut over and their character will pop out of a bush and run away.
God.
It's unbelievable. Also, because it was
that.
paid for entirely by the Canadian government, apparently they shot for 200 shooting days, and the last shooting day was 8 days before it premiered at South by Southwest.
That's so
There's
funny.
a point in the movie where the main character looks at the camera and says, "This movie's a copyright nightmare. This will never come out. If you're seeing this in theaters, enjoy."
While it lasts. What?
I mentioned that to say that is inspiring that is a version of making something for the joy of making it, making something that only pleases you. So I think it probably will air in Canada. They have some slightly different rules about
Copyright
and
parody and
what can be shown in a public screening, etc. So I don't know if it'll ever come out in the States, but it really was a wild, inspiring, made with, because of the nature of the way they made it, also made with a tiny crew. Can't recommend.
And I bet they had
That's
such a
awesome.
good time.
I bet, although to make it for 2 years and 200 shooting days, I bet there were also times they were like, "Is this anything? What are we doing?"
Oh,
Yeah.
certainly.
Yeah.
Right.
Certainly. Wow. That's
There are some movies that are like that for me. Did you guys see Jodorowsky's Dune?
Yes.
The documentary about.
I love Jodorowsky's Dune.
That is a movie where I said, when the credits rolled, if anyone stood up and said, "Let's go make a movie," I would have followed them out into the street to go make a movie. This is like that.
Yeah.
I've heard about
Awesome.
this. Maybe it was you telling me about it, Clint, but it's like a documentary about this guy trying to make Dune.
Yes, Jodorowsky's
And it
Dune.
never gets made because it's crazy, right?
I'm
But
not
it's a
convinced the
documentary
movie would have
about
been
its
good.
making.
Yeah, the movie probably would not have been good, but
The documentary about its making is brilliant.
because the sheer ambition and vision of certified artistic maniac Alejandro Jodorowsky is so inspiring. And the insanely creative team that he assembled to do pre-production on this thing is basically the group that he gathered to do this set the template for sci-fi on film as we know it. Like the team that he got together was like, oh, this Dune thing isn't happening. Well, let's all go off and make Star Wars and Alien.
Yes. And Mobius, who went on to become like one of the greatest French like comic artists.
Yeah.
And the team is unbelievable. And Jodorowsky himself is an artist, capital A, yeah, I really can't say enough good things about it. And that you can go see. That's streaming somewhere. Go check it out.
Oh yeah. And got to see that Holy Mountain, baby.
Holy Mountain's fantastic. Ross, I want you and I to get super high and watch Holy Mountain.
Let's do it. Let's walk through the gate.
Let's do it.
On legal drugs.
Super
high on life.
Legal drugs.
Climbing a mountain and watching.
Super high in elevation.
Great. So,
great question. Great question, Ross.
Yes.
That was a good question.
I just saying that was a great question. You inspired a lot of an hour and 16 minutes of incredible conversation.
I know I have a lot of things to see now. I really hope that I get to see a bootleg or like DVD copy of Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie at some point. I'm excited to catch up on Severance. Is this anime? What is it called? Zombieland what?
Saga.
Zombieland Saga is on Crunchyroll.
Oh, you know it, baby.
Yeah. Just got to check that out. And Novocento, baby. Whew, set aside a day.
If we had a book club and that was our book club.
Why don't we? We should.
We do have a book club.
Oh yeah.
That's our
Don't want to finally talk about Wild Seed?
Yeah, we all read Octavia Butler's Wild Seed a year ago.
And it was amazing.
3 of us actually did talk about it.
We did.
Yeah. And Sarah and I read the whole thing.
We did.
The whole series.
Read the whole
The whole series, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't read the whole series. I did read the
book.
I mean, I think we should have some kind of club. Why not?
Yeah.
Recommended media.
What have y'all been reading recently?
I like that.
Last week, I dipped into the Glass Cannon radio show with our friends Jared Logan and Joe O'Brien.
Heard of them.
They're reading,
Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I dipped in to give my 2 cents, and they gave me permission to be mean to callers, and I stuck around for a while to do that, and it was fun. Yeah.
Dungeon Crawler Carl.
This is a great opportunity. We do have to transition into an ad real quick.
Oh yeah, all right.
Chill Touch pigeon milk supplements, scientifically proven to cure autism, cancer, bird flu, COVID, and they will flush your body of all the toxins that you get from the Bill Gates vaccine.
Yes. Not FDA approved, not FDA inspected. FDA never touches it.
Not FDA aware.
Absolutely no oversight whatsoever on our process, so you can trust that it is totally organic.
Since starting this regimen, this stack of pigeon milk supplements, folks, I have lost what my doctor informs me is a frightening amount of weight.
Yeah. And you get so skinny.
Yes, scary skinny. And and while these are suppositories, you do get a really good taste kind of in the back of your throat when you insert it.
In your own crop.
It's a really incredible sensation. Almost indescribable in words.
Have y'all seen apple cider vinegar?
Have I seen it?
Have we ever seen
So I had the same reaction. I was like, I've
seen it. Okay, it's a TV show.
It's a TV show.
No, never heard of it.
Unfamiliar.
I hadn't either.
It's really good. It's a new series on Netflix. It's based on a true story, but it is like a filmed, acted piece of media about this Australian cancer influencer from like 2015 to 2017, who is a real person. And she was very famous on Instagram. She had a terminal brain tumor that she self-treated with an all-natural diet. And
So
then
she did
ended
not
up-
have a terminal brain tumor.
She did not have cancer.
That's what I'm hearing.
And she
Literally.
she like, but she like had an why does my phone keep doing that?
I don't know.
Stop
Oh.
blaring me. She had an app that
This
like
is
she
Mr.
got
Beast coming to shut down the fucking
I was about to
channel.
say the
Oh my God,
government's
no.
finally.
The
Yeah,
government!
stepping in.
Mr. Beast and his minions fear the truth.
Yeah, really good, highly recommended. It's all about, it kind of follows like 3 different Australian women. One is this woman, one is the like previous generation Facebook cancer influencer that she had her parasocial relationship with that got her started on it, who was all about like well, I'm like I don't want to get chemotherapy anymore, so I'm going to go down to this retreat in Mexico, and I'm going to get like coffee enemas and drink a hardcore regimen of fruit juice. And there's like this whole cancer retreat that's run by this German woman who lives in Mexico, where she prescribes people, like, it's really intense regimen. Like you have to make and drink like 13 different fresh juices every day, and you have to get a coffee enema every day, and that'll cure your cancer. And like they don't want us to know about it because they make so much money selling us cancer drugs. And then it follows.
This retreat does cost $15,000.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. But you know, not many people leave negative reviews.
Because they die.
Yeah,
They die. They
Yeah.
do not want to admit to everyone who
brother.
told them this is stupid.
Yeah, it's actually a really sad show, but it's
Sounds it, yeah.
it's good.
But that's
Highly
all
recommended.
part of our. Okay, people. Someone in the chat was like a book club. What are people reading?
Give
lately?
people what they want.
Here's what I'm reading, folks.
Yeah, what are you reading?
Okay. Weird Fiction, 1914 to 1945 by D.K. Broster. D.K.
Okay.
Broster was a woman who was an author of historical fiction. She wrote a very famous series of books that was famous in its time in the mid-century in England, called the Jacobite trilogy. That's all about like the Jacobite kind of wars and intrigues in the in that era. But she also wrote a bunch of short stories, some of which are a little kind of horror ghosty, and I'm making my way through that. And as they get later into her career, the creepier they become. I just finished one called The Pestering, which is about a couple of middle-class folks who start a tea house in an old house in Worcester, near Birmingham, and they begin to be visited by a presence, and they have to figure out what the heck it is. So that's cool. It's a spookums. I am also reading John Dee and the Empire of the Angels, Enochian Magic and the Occult Roots of the Modern World, by Jason Love. I've lately learned that this author is maybe kind of a jerk, and so, you know, buyer beware. I started it before I knew that. Whatever.
Enochian magic and what?
Enochian Magic and the Roots of the Modern World. In any case, it is a very exhaustively researched book about the character of John Dee, who was a real astrologer, scientist, court magician in the court of Queen Elizabeth I. Did her horoscope. She was interested in alchemy and astrology and all this stuff, and was a
Sarah, that sounds like a character you
knew
would be
him.
interested in.
A very interesting character who, along with his assistant, a possible attuned magician or charlatan named Edward Kelly, used a magical system and a scrying glass to communicate with angels to learn about the nature of existence and the future of the world.
Well, I mean, that sounds cool and all, Ross, but I could like literally just drive on down to the Liberate Emporium and pay $100 to meet with someone who can talk to angels for an hour.
Absolutely. And what this book I think is showing is that like there is a continuum that goes from the work of John Dee and Edward Kelly right through to the person selling you Palo Santo at the Liberate Emporium.
Fuck yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. And also that these sort of magical works are always inflected by a deep sense of sincere spirituality. And not always, and also the creepy side of this is that John Dee was also a big proponent of the imperial project of England at that time. There was no British Empire at that time, but there's a school of thought that says that John Dee may have coined the phrase British Empire.
Ooh.
And that he saw Queen Elizabeth as like the head of a Protestant New Jerusalem that would unite all of humanity under the banner of a common religion to spread across the entire world. He wanted to immanentize the eschaton, as you will. All these people think they're living in the end times. Yeah.
Will I immanentize the eschaton?
Yeah. And so yeah, these folks are trying to bring about the end times. And but reading
Sounds
that
familiar.
Also, don't it just? And I also just finished a book called Pagan Mysteries in the Renaissance by Edgar Wind, which I wanted to read, and it kind of gave me a lot of background for this John Dee thing. And it is talking a lot about like the ways in which Renaissance painters were influenced by the philosophy of Neoplatonism, especially.
So when they say mysteries, they mean like in the
Greek
world,
way.
like mystery
in the
cults.
Greek sense, exactly, like mystery cults. Yeah. And in particular, I learned a lot about this guy who I'd never heard of before, Giovanni Pico della Mirandola, who was a count, who was the County Concord. He's literally the Count of Concordia, Count of Concord. And he was a philosopher sort of in the milieu of Lorenzo de' Medici, who was one of the first Western Kabbalists. He wrote he wrote this huge paean to humanity. It's often thought of as the kickoff of Renaissance humanism, his like discourse on the dignity of man. But he also wrote this book called Heptaplus, the discourse on the 7 days of creation, where he talks about interpreting the Bible mysteriously, that this is all a language of symbols, that if you can read it kind of Kabbalistically, you can understand the true nature of reality. And
I think that's a more fun and more useful read than a literalist take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he will say that maybe there is some literalism to it, but then you can also, but it's both literally true and allegorically true, if that makes sense. It's all.
Identity.
So what's fun about that is it gives you a read on artworks. So there's a huge chunk in the center of that book where it kind of decodes a painting like Botticelli's Primavera, that one where Venus is in the center of the painting with Flora, Chloris, and Zephyr on one side, and the three Graces and Mercury on the other.
In the forest?
In the forest, yeah. And it just looks like this.
I love that shit.
Isn't it beautiful? And it just kind of looks like this kind of mysterious tableau, but this gives you a way of interpreting it in this sort of like Renaissance Neoplatonic way, where what that painting is really about is the journey of a soul.
It's those exactly the things I think about when I go to the museum and I'm looking at a piece and I'm reading the plaque. What I really want to know is what is it interpreted by the rich folks in their home that it was hanging in? Like, did they have the classical education that they looked at it and they were inspired because they were inspired by the levels of story that were essentially being cobbled together into this piece?
For sure. Lorenzo de' Medici, almost certainly, because he basically established a ad hoc academy for these people to kind of like do their work. Another fellow that was in there was Ficino. And it was through these guys that I learned of this other character that blew my mind. Gemisthus Pletho, who is a Byzantine scholar in the employ of, oh my God, can I bring it up? Jonathan Peliagoras, the last Byzantine emperor.
Jonathan.
That when Byzantium was about to fall to the Turks, there was an embassy of the emperor to Italy to be like, hey, join with us to help me fight the Turks, and we'll unite Western and Eastern Catholicism. We can set aside our differences. Obviously, that didn't happen, and Byzantium fell and became Constantinople became Istanbul.
The Ottomans,
Cool. But so all of these Greco-Byzantine scholars fled to the West, And that's what caused all of the works of Plato and the works that had been kept reverently in Constantinople wound up in the West and kicked off a lot of this scholarship in the Renaissance. But one of these guys is this dude Gemistus Pletho, who maybe still sort of was a worshiper of Zeus and Athena, was kind of like still connected to the continuum of worship of the Orphic rites and stuff. And so you get a lot of this sort of looking at class. So that's when you get things like Primavera, where like the interpretation was that these classical images are vestiges of a eternal transcendent truth that Christianity and Judaism perfect, but there's still a way of interpreting all of that stuff in a way that leads you to a higher truth. And it, again, Sarah, leads you to Liberate Emporium, because it has that sense of like, all religions are the same, man. It's the same
universalist.
Yeah.
Fun little Primavera fun fact. The Botticelli's favorite model, the redhead that you'd recognize from Birth of Venus and in Primavera, was Amerigo Vespucci's niece. Amerigo Vespucci, the namesake of the Americas.
Isn't that fucking amazing? Like, I love that stuff. Yeah.
Welcome, Acid Snowman. Ross, are you familiar with Moses de Leon?
No.
Is that the
Moses de Leon is the...
He's a king of Leon.
He's the 13th century Spanish Jewish con artist who wrote the Zohar, which became the foundational text of Kabbalic Judaism. He was basically like Joseph Smith before Joseph Smith. He wrote a fake ancient rabbinic text that he claimed he'd discovered. He was a known forger of like Jewish antiquities, and he wrote a text that he claimed was written by this first century rabbi, like famous old rabbi that he discovered. But it's like written in like really just modern scholars are like, he definitely wrote it because he's just wrong. It's like the way that like Joseph Smith like wrote hieroglyphics, but they were just wrong. This guy was writing in like a Babylonian era Hebrew and Aramaic and stuff, and just getting shit wrong and like using Spanish words sometimes.
nice?
But like he got a huge follow. Like all of Kabbalah and like Jewish mysticism, starting from that point forward, was started by this guy who was really just trying to sell this forged text.
Thanks.
So it's kind of all
amazing.
Sort of like when we talk about sort of religious things, and as they go into folkloric or mythological things, our ideas of what are ancient is widely questionable, because things can be quite modern, and we discover them, we call it ancient. And also our understanding of what they themselves believed about them is sometimes hard to parse. And I get the most into it when the artifice is clear, but they still made it foundational to themselves culturally somewhat.
And that's the thing, like people at his time were calling him out. They were like, we know this guy's a forger. Like, these are the errors in this thing. And some people don't care. Like,
are you guys familiar with the worship of Glycon?
Glycon
is
it's like a serpent god or something. Yeah,
exactly correct.
I'm looking it up right
Glycon
now.
was indeed a serpent god, worshipped sort of Greek, but not Pythonic in the pantheon, who was worshipped because many of these gods were city by city, right? Like our idea of Greece is one place is false. But so Glycon was indeed a serpent god, but there is no doubt that what Glycon was a guy with a puppet. You would go and visit the temple of Glycon. It is a man who had taken maybe a real stuffed giant snake, maybe just a fake one, put a blonde wig on it, and you would go and confer with Glycon, where a man would speak to you with a puppet. Now, this was like canonically like a real worship that was done. Temples and statues to Glycon can be found, but also there's almost no doubt it was a fucking puppet. And what I say to that is, does it matter?
No, that's the thing.
Nandor Fodor and the fucking and the talking mongoose. Now we got to get
Yes,
into
yeah.
your fucking
the
19th
recent
century
film.
Isle of Man shit.
Yeah, and thus like religious ritual and theater overlap once again, and we've got
Yeah.
and that's what we're all about, folks. Chill Touch is a work of a theatrical experience where we invite you also to enter the Imaginarium and
Well,
play around
We
with
can
it.
start our own cult, is what you're saying.
No, I think it's a key
Sure.
distinction. Like, if anyone here listens to Behind the Bastards by Robert Evans, the episodes he's doing this week are on the Zizians.
Oh, man.
Did you all hear about them?
They're
I've
so
got-
fucked up.
It's so insane, and I know only the broadest strokes, but that shit is whoa.
Yeah, I'd love to talk more about it, but I liked what he was saying at the beginning of the thing, where he was like, it gets called a cult, but it's not a cult. What it is it's like a group of like rationalism is specifically like Harry Potter and the like whatever basis of rationality, like internet rationalism. It's not a cult. It is a subculture that plays with like cultic milieu, with cultic verbiage, with like cultic control. But that's not the same thing as a cult if you're doing it knowingly and if there's not like a single charismatic leader who's taking advantage of people. Like anytime we get together to play a TTRPG, we are intentionally playing with the sort of ways that like, because all that cultic behavior, those are just ways that human brains are susceptible to like psychological hacking, like whatever is in us that brings us to having religious spiritual experiences, that people find meaning in church, whatever. Like we're playing with that shit when we get together and play a game, but we're intentionally entering that space knowing we can leave it. It's like this consensual entry into the play. And it's the same thing with most subcultures. You go take an improv class, yes, you're learning a whole like cultish subcultural language that will set you apart from an out group and blah blah blah. But it's not a cult because you're doing it consensually. And that's
the way most people operate in their day-to-day religious experience too, is something that they kind of like surrender to.
I don't know that that's true anymore.
On Sunday, I would say some people. I think
like
some,
most people in this country genuinely believe in ghosts and demons, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
and then you wonder how much, but it seems like a lot really do.
Like that's what's hard for me. Like it's fun to joke about, and I'm fascinated by this stuff until hi Jared. Until you remember that, like,
No, it's Minshew.
It's Minshew.
Oh.
That like when some
Hi,
people
Minshew.
are out there saying like these Democrats are demons or like trans people are satanic, they're
Some
being
people, like,
so
mean
literal.
Oh yeah, they're being 100% literal. Like, have you seen that woman doing gematria on a can of Monster Energy drink?
Oh my
Yes.
god, yes.
Like,
Really amazing stuff there.
yeah, yeah.
Undiagnosed
Sadly
schizophrenia.
true. But yes, we were playing in these games and in improvisation as well with these sort of like charged energies, but in a consensual way.
I like the idea of ecstatic experience, however you achieve it, right? So we've talked amongst ourselves many times about how sometimes our memories of things that have happened in a game are sometimes a little more vivid than things that actually happened, right?
Yeah.
That is kind of and we do that by all getting around together and casting the spell effectively, and that is all buy-in, right?
Yeah.
So there's 1,000 ways to do that. And I don't know that I think I don't take any of them off the table. Like I want to have, even if it's not real, the thing of, oxygen deprivation makes it feel like you're talking to God. I don't believe in God, but what I'd love? I would love the experience of talking to God. And if you got to choke me out to do it, let's try it.
Let's try it.
But Clint, I think the difference is like, I agree. I won't take anything off the table if it's something that someone is entering knowingly, and that they're able to keep it separate from like broader reality. And more specifically, like even if they can't keep it separate from their understanding of reality, if it doesn't lead them to fucking with other people.
Sure. I think that is the true test.
Yeah, that's kind of what the thought that was like floating around my head was like, at what point, like if the Zizians, if they're doing it on purpose, right? Like they're like cult shit they're doing ironically or whatever. Does it matter if they're
Oh,
still people
yeah,
with
sorry. I
samurai swords?
misspoke. Robert Evans was talking about the rationalist subculture,
Oh,
and
I
and
missed.
I referred to the Zizians as not a cult. The Zizians are a cult. The
Oh,
Zizians are what happen
Right.
when you have people who are like playfully engaging in a subculture, being nerds online, right, reading Harry Potter and the like basis of rationality and arguing about Rocco's basilisk, and then like find themselves slipping into a headspace where it's no longer consensually entered and it's no longer leave exitable. And they
Sure.
do find themselves under thrall of someone else's like intensity.
The
Yeah.
idea of it being consensual, but also, as Mary Lou was saying, like it being a choice
if it's
that one makes themselves.
functionally causes the same nonsense,
gone through.
then like doesn't matter.
Somebody in the chat mentioned that the writer Alan Moore calls himself a worshiper of Glycon, which
didn't know that. I love Alan
which
Moore.
I think he does both sincerely and with the idea that he's engaging in an absurdist practice, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
That's
that
full-on
only makes me
chaos
think like
magic.
I think, but I feel like who's to say that a person in first century Macedon who goes to visit one of the outlast temples of Glycon isn't and seeing a puppet isn't engaging in the exact same thing. Like it's like that's a puppet, but also this is just what I do because it.
Oh, yeah,
that,
I think
that
they
doesn't
are.
bother me at all.
Works for
Like,
me.
Humans,
it works for me. I think it's good enough.
humans
Yeah.
are humans. Like humans have been
Yeah.
the same. Like evolution of our bodies physiologically goes so much slower than like we think. You read any
Sure.
ancient author, like you read Catullus's love poetry, or you read like Aristotle or whatever. Like these are just people, just like us, and 100%. Like you have Greeks talking about how they were engaging with stuff that way.
Yeah.
When Aristophanes is talking about like the two-headed, eight-limbed, bigenital like Symbolon people and the Symposium. Yeah, he's like engaging with that at a level of irony. But then there's always people who like miss the irony and mistake the play for the reality. They don't recognize it as game.
Right. If you're a Renaissance Neoplatonist like Pico della Mirandola, for example, and you see that the quadrupedal creature in the Symposium as being a mysterious hieroglyph, as it were,
Right.
for the human animal that has one set of eyes facing the ground towards material love and one set of eyes faced upwards towards transcendental love of the divine.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah, like there's people who are on 8chan reading messages from Q who were like engaging with that no differently from someone engaging with like SCP like online role play.
For sure.
And then there's people who storm the Capitol and
Right.
try to kidnap and murder US senators.
There's the sort of like archetype in occultic speak of the trickster is this like
Sure.
the one who kind of has the arched eyebrow, this sort of like this might be all a game. I'm not really serious, or am I? Like,
Yeah.
And yeah, you get the sense that our sort of cultural enemies that we're speaking of, the sort of Q types, are the ones that are truly evil, are these cursed tricksters who are doing it ironically, but just like cynically to gain power on the backs of those who see it literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, Candace Owens, etc.
Yeah.
It was on my mind because I listened to a podcast about it yesterday. This is all specifically on mind. Like I love that exact same kind of shit that Ross, you were talking about. All these books, these ancient religions, mysteries. Like on the one hand, I find that stuff thrilling and fascinating and exciting. And I find myself now, unfortunately, increasingly unable to experience the joy of learning about it because I'm just like,
because it threatens your very lively
it's a
life.
threat.
It's too
Yeah,
close.
and
I know what you mean.
like so what I've been listening to or reading, but audiobook, is Judith Butler put out a book last year called Who's Afraid of Gender? And I'm very early in the beginning of it, but so far, like, it's amazing. It's nothing like Gender Trouble. Like, she was very specifically writing with a more general audience in mind, but also she's like brilliant and an academic, so it does feel academic. But she's spent the whole start of the book so far tracking the history of all these attacks, and like contextualizing everything globally. And what I hadn't realized, because I've been so caught up in my more recent American context, is like how much of everything that's happening right now in America with all these attacks on trans people is directly started by the Catholic Church. Like the term gender ideology that is being used as like a dog whistle or whatever in all this American politics bullshit, to the point where Trump wrote an executive order combating extremist gender ideology that like seeks to destroy trans people. The term gender ideology was invented by Joseph Ratzinger before he became the Pope in the 90s, in reaction to like gay marriage activism, and in reaction to like feminists like Judith Butler kind of questioning the traditional Catholic roles. And it was very intentionally like a gender ideology as opposed to godly Catholic ideology. And from then it's been such intention to like even Pope Francis, who's like the modern Pope, has a quote about like, there's like, yeah, basically we're under threat. The world is scary right now, whether it's from nuclear bombs or it's from gender ideology. And it's like,
let's equate the two.
Yeah. And reading all this, I've been so having a hard time with Catholicism specifically. Like I watched, have y'all seen The Pope's Exorcist?
No.
What?
The last Catholic movie I watched was Conclave.
Same.
The Pope's Exorcist, a 2023 film in which about Father Gabriele Amort, who is a real person who was...
Is this Russell Crowe?
Yes, Russell Crowe plays Father Father Gabriele Amort, who was officially in like the 80s and 90s, the Pope's exorcist. He was the official exorcist of the Pope. And the movie is about him destroying ancient, like he goes to a haunted, possessed church, and he has to fight like literally whatever ancient biblical devil demons. And there's all these clips of like showing the real demons, and clips of him talking to the Pope about like these modern cardinals. They don't believe really in good and evil, but we know it's true. And it's the Pope being like, yes, demons are real in this way, in the way of exorcism movies. And like the start of the movie and the end are both like based on a true story. Father Amort personally exorcised 240,000 demons in his lifetime.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Anyway,
I think a good frame.
Sarah rant over.
No, I love that, and it is good not to get lost in the sauce of the occult stuff. And I can totally see that. I feel like a frame that is more and more coming into focus for me is looking at this stuff as just, I don't know, the language of psychoanalysis, and like in the way that, like, for the Catholic Church, an institution to be so to equate nuclear destruction with so-called gender ideology, when they are like one of the biggest perpetrators of like horrific, the pure, the most like grotesque evil you can imagine.
Yeah.
And the fact that
on international scales,
on an international scale, and also that so much of the in the sort of like QAnon imaginarium is all about like the demonic hordes or the demonic possessed elites desanguinizing, abusing, spiriting away, trafficking children. When of course this is a weird organized, when the place where that happens
of violence
is the home
on children.
It is the home.
Is in the home and the church.
It's the utter unwilling. It's the psychological displacement of being unable and unwilling to look at oneself and to create
at the log in your own eye.
Yeah.
To use the language of the oppressor.
Well, that is what a lot of what Judith Butler talks about, is how much of this is just like such obvious displacement of like it, Catholic priests whole thing starts coming out, all the ways that they've been like systematically abusing children. It's the trans people and queer people who are grooming your kids. Like to the point where like Pope Francis has been talking about how gender ideology and like transness and feminism are inherently colonial in nature. Like he literally calls it colonial. I'm gonna
unlike the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
I just want to point out something that I'm finding really funny, which is that we are talking about this, and then I look at the chat, and Jared was like, "So what is this show?" And Sarah responds, "We're an improv team." Here we are talking about the Catholic Church and like abuse of children, and who are we? We're an improv team.
Look,
those are true.
And here you go. Let me get the exact quote for you from Pope Francis in 2023.
Back to the comedy.
Yeah.
Gender ideology today is one of the most dangerous ideological colonizations. All humanity is the
Accent not
necessary,
necessary, sir.
No, I don't want to. I want to. I'm not even doing his accent because I don't know where he's from. I'm just doing a generic Pope accent.
Yes. All popes are Italian until proven otherwise.
All humanity is the tension of differences. It is to crawl through the tension of
All
differences.
popes are vampires. Continue.
The question of gender is diluting the
He's
differences.
Argentinian.
Oh, well, I don't know what an Argentinian accent sounds like.
The question of German accent.
Okay, fine.
Oh.
Gender ideology today is one of the most dangerous ideological colonizations. All humanity is the tension of differences. It is to grow through the tension of differences. The question of gender is diluting the differences and making the world the same, all dull, all alike, and that is contrary to the human vocation.
That's a Ratzinger quote?
No, that's Francis.
Unfortunately, that's Francis, who we're prone to think of as a rather progressive voice, and actually within the Catholic Church is a progressive voice.
Shockingly progressive.
Yeah, holy smoke.
That's so wild, because I could use those exact same words to describe like turf ideology.
No, but Mary Lou, we have to get rid of trans people and genderqueer people, because that's all an attempt to render the world same, and the human vocation is to engage with our differences.
It's like you're making my argument for me. What do you mean?
Like he's just a master. It's just a masterful display of the Steve Bannon diagonalism that like Naomi Klein talks about.
Right, exactly. It's that Naomi Klein mirror world thing of like,
which goes back to fucking doppelgangers, Mary Lou.
Right,
doppelgangers.
Right. Yeah,
everyone talking about doppelgangers,
and you know where there are doppelgangers, folks. They're in the home game that the four of us play and will be playing tonight.
Yay! We have D&D tonight. Yay!
Because not to put too fine a point on it, we are an improv team. That is formed out of the home D&D group that we share.
That we've been playing since 2020.
Yeah. For those of you still on this chat after all our talk, and I hope you are, because what this is really is kind of sort of
people watching Russ.
This is like a talk show, a zoo crew, if you will. This is the morning drive time, a chat 'em up. But this is also to promote our show, Chill Touch, coming to a Upright Citizens Brigade theater near you on the 30th.
If you live in Los Feliz.
If you live
in Los Angeles, you can also watch it online.
But the thing is, you can watch it online, folks. It's go to the UCB website, Chill Touch, this March 30th. See our show.
Clark Donk, I don't think you're ever going to see our home game. I think since all of us are somehow involved in this tangential world, I think it's nice for us to have a space where we get to just like play a game, not with the ulterior motive of performing or streaming, but you'll see us play other games
for sure.
Yeah,
and you can see this world. You can see the world that we play in, the homebrew world that we play in, because Ross has DM'd series for Stream of Blood and for for Glass Cannon, or was it Stream of Blood?
Just Stream of Blood. There's
Stream of Blood.
years
The
ago,
Sanguine Sea.
The Sanguine
years and
Sea.
years ago on Stream of Blood, I did a brief D&D campaign called The Sanguine Seas. It has who was in that? Holly Laurent, Rashawn Scott, and Edgar Blackman. Three of my favorite improvisers in the world, and they
All
played
of them learning to play D&D essentially.
all of whom had basically never played D&D except for Sean, an old hand at this stuff. But Holly and Edgar were kind of feeling it out. But they had a little seafaring adventure that was sort of a tangential adventure in the main homebrew world that we play in at home. we basically, our home game basically just tied up the thread that they had started years ago.
So cool.
I have never in the years since that game run into Holly Laurent and not had her grab me and say, that was incredible. It was like she's still shaken by it.
Anytime, Holly, hop back in.
And that's the power of TTRPGs.
Amen.
It gets ya.
And Clint, Ross, Mary Lou, I just made a Chill Touch Discord if y'all want to hop in it.
Just that
as well.
fast.
Wow.
Just that fast. Discord's magic. Yeah. Well,
how it can
guys,
happen.
friends, I feel
maybe-
like we got to leave them wanting more.
I think so. Let's wrap this sucker up.
Not
Please
the least because I have therapy right now.
Yeah, if you're in Los Angeles, come to our show at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater on the 30th of this month. The ticket link is at the UCB Theater's website, and you can also there get live stream tickets if you would like to watch this show from the comfort of your home anywhere in the world.
And you should. It's a fantastic show. You will see these three and a guest or two.
Special guest.
Special guests, TBD. And we're also planning on, we're gonna be at Gen Con this year. So if you are going to be at that big, beautiful role-playing game convention.
August event.
And that's this huge August event in lovely Indianapolis, Indiana. Come out to see us.
It is both in August and August.
It is an August affair.
Our new friends here, the goal is to stream regularly every Thursday at this time. It might not be all four of us, but it will be at least some of us and our friends, whoever we can drag on, just to chat. And every now and again, maybe we'll do some one-shots or we'll do some longer games. We're still figuring out exactly what the plan is. But thanks so much for joining us. This is amazing. Like, this is a brand new YouTube channel. Like, literally nothing posted. I made it 2 days ago. And we've had 18 people watching us on average, like, the whole time.
Thanks, guys.
That's so awesome. And subscribe if you want to know when we're going live. And let us know if you want Chill Touch to come do shows in your city, because we're trying to figure out also stuff about that. We're not going to promise anything, but we are trying to get a sense of who might be interested in that. Guys, thanks so much. My friends, thanks so much. I'll literally see y'all tonight to play D&D.
See you.
Yeah, see you tonight.
Goodbye forever.
Bye.